The Mets just made an interesting trade. The Pirates, they're adding players left and right. Fernando Tatis Jr. looks like he might mess around and maybe go for an MVP in 2024. And we have 7 brand new rules coming to Major League Baseball in 2024. So let's talk about those new rules before we talk about anything else. The first rule, this is not a lie, this is real. You have to subscribe to Fuzzy. Boo! All right, all jokes aside, the first brand new rule, this is in regards to the runner's lane. So as you guys can see by that little picture, the runner's lane from the previous seasons, you had to be within the 2 white lines in foul territory. And we've seen so many different interference calls and catchers making errant throws because the runner was out of the runner's lane, but then he was back in it. So there's a new defined runner's lane where it goes from the white line in foul territory to the edge of the grass in fair territory. And to me, I feel like this is a long overdue change. I'm completely fine with this. The rest of the rules are going to be involving pace of play, and the first one is timing between pitches. And before we talk about anything else, I have one more thing to add. The MLBPA executive director, Tony Clark, came out and said that all of these rule changes were essentially rejected by the competition committee of the Players Association. So because MLB holds the majority of seats on the committee, they can go ahead and just say, screw the players, we're going to implement these rules and you're going to have to deal with it regardless. So yeah, these rules, they are going into place even though the PA isn't really a fan of them, and you're about to see why. So last year when runners were on base, you had 20 seconds to throw a pitch. Now going into 2024, that is changing to 18 seconds. And the biggest reason why, MLB, they did their study and they found out that pitchers, they began their deliveries with an average of 7.3 seconds remaining on the 20-second timer. So they weren't even really using 14 seconds. So yeah, they're going to go from 20 to 18 in terms of the pitch clock when runners are on base. And obviously the Players Union is going to reject that because they fully believe that the pitch clock is the reason why we saw an influx of Tommy John surgeries and arm issues. So do you guys like this change or not? Change 3 of 7 batter timeouts based on player feedback. MLB withdrew a proposal that would have required the home plate umpire to immediately reset the pitch clock after a batter called timeout. Okay, there's the third change. 4 of 7, if a new pitcher steps onto the warning track with less than 2 minutes remaining on the inning break clock, the clock will reset to 2 minutes rather than 2 minutes and 15 as was the case in 2023. Inning breaks that contained a pitching change averaged 2 minutes and 35 seconds in 2023. Okay, so again, a lot of this is just pace of play. Mound visits, thank goodness, I hate mound visits so much, they're a complete waste of time. Mound visits will be reduced from 5 per game to 4, and an extra mound visit will be awarded for the 9th inning if the defensive team has 0 remaining at the end of the 8th inning. Okay, but the thing about that, only 2% of games from last year would have actually been affected by this rule, so it's not really something we're going to even notice. Another rule change, this one is a circumvention. So the FTC will now restart the timer after a dead ball, e.g. foul ball, when the pitcher has the ball and the play is ready to resume. There will no longer be a requirement for the pitcher to be on the mound, removing the pitcher's ability to delay the start of the clock by walking around the edge. So basically they can start the timer even if the pitcher is walking around the edge of the grass. So there you go, or the mound, whatever it is. And then the final rule, a pitcher who warms up must face at least one batter. A lot of people are confused. This is not a pitcher that's out in the bullpen warming up. If a pitcher goes onto the diamond and warms up in between innings, he has to face at least one hitter. So I guess 24 times last year, a pitcher went out there, threw a bunch of warm-up pitches, and then he was relieved. So basically they were killing time so the guy in the bullpen could throw more pitches. So those are all of the changes. I feel like we're not going to notice the majority of these changes aside from the runner's lane change. So you guys have to let me know in the comments. Are you okay with the runner's lane change? Are you okay with them going from 20 seconds to 18 seconds in terms of the pitch clock if runners are on base? What do you make of all this mess? And again, the MLBPA, the actual players, they voted no on these rule changes. So MLB is still going full steam ahead because they have the majority of the seats on the committee. Before we talk about the Mets trade, let's talk about the fact that the Pirates are bringing back Andrew McCutchen, and I'm so happy because he is 1 home run away from 300 home runs for his career. I genuinely hope in my heart that Andrew McCutchen, at the ripe age of 37 years old, finds a way to just continue raking. He had a 113 OPS plus and a 380 on base percentage last year. He had 12 home runs and 11 stolen bases. I need him to get to 350 home runs, about 2,500 base hits. If he can stay healthy until he's 40, he might be able to do that, although 2,500 base hits, that would be tough. The Pirates also gave a contract to Martin Perez, who surprisingly was not really a factor in the Rangers' road to World Series, but he is an all-star, and I do think that the Pirates need guys that can eat innings. So not only did they give Martin Perez a contract, they traded for Marco Gonzalez a couple days ago. They signed Rowdy Tellez. So the Pirates, they're doing very Pirate things right now. They're just signing kind of the bottom of the barrel guys to just go out there and play and eat innings. Here we go, the Mets trade. They are acquiring Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor from the Brewers in exchange for one single player, Coleman Crow. That's all they had to give away. Like I mentioned, the Brewers, they picked up Coleman Crow from the Mets. Last year in 2023, he missed a bunch of games, but in 24 innings, he had 31 strikeouts, and he had a 3.4 hits per nine with an 11.6 strikeouts per nine with a 1.88 ERA. Okay, he seems like he's figured it out because he was pretty bad the year before. And yeah, it just makes sense that he's going to the Brewers because they're kind of the NL version of the Cleveland Guardians. The Brewers just continue to manufacture studs in the rotation, and maybe Coleman Crow is one of those guys in the next few years. So the first guy that the Mets got in this trade, Adrian Hauser. We'll talk about Tyrone Taylor in just a second. Mr. Hauser, he's not been very good over the last 2 years. Since 2022, he's pitched in about 214 innings. He has a combined 4.42 ERA and a 4.1 FIP, so he's not very good at striking guys out. He allows a bunch of hits, so he's going to be either a long reliever guy if a starter is just terrible to begin a game, or he's going to be a 5, borderline 6 starter. But again, I don't think that this takes them out of the Yamamoto running. I think that they're still in it. The other guy that the Mets got, Tyrone Taylor, he's probably going to be the replacement for Mark Canha. Tyrone Taylor, he's pretty quick, and he's very good defensively. They're not going to really expect him to be a stud offensively because he has a career 294 on base percentage, but he does have a career 102 OPS plus, so according to kind of the Saber metrics, he's been an above average hitter, but not by much. His true value is in the outfield. He's a really good defender. So there you go. Coleman Crow, he is going to the Brewers. Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor, they get some depth pieces for the Mets. There you go. One more thing I do want to talk about real quick. Tom Murphy, he has agreed to a 2-year contract with the Giants. What does that mean? The number 22 prospect from 2019, Joey Bart, who I thought was going to be maybe the next Buster Posey. It was like Buster Posey retired. Joey Bart, he was going to take over the reins and capture Major League Baseball and become that guy. He's unfortunately been pretty terrible. But look at this. Back in the day, Fernando Tatis Jr., Vladimir Guerrero Jr., they were the cream of the crop. So he was very talented. He is still very talented. He just hasn't been able to put it together. Same with Nick Senzel and a bunch of other guys on this list who have kind of been a bust. But because we just talked about Fernando Tatis Jr., look at this clip. I know it's against someone that we've never heard of. It's in a Dominican league or something like that, but he is so much fun to watch. Do you guys remember when Ronald Acuna Jr. came back in 2022 after that ACL injury, and a lot of people said that he was washed up or kind of cooked, that he wasn't the same guy? And then after a full offseason, he wins 2023 MVP because he was used to the speed of Major League Baseball. I feel like the same is about to happen for Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, this is my hot take. Fernando, he's going to be the next guy in the 40-40 club. So that does it for today's recap. If you enjoyed, do me a favor, leave a like, and also, please, if you're brand new, click that subscribe button. I'm going to beg you. But yeah, I appreciate you guys' support. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next one.